revenge games? Really? Like, that's a thing? What's even the point? Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The NFL schedule was, of course, released last night. The opponents had been known, the home-road split had been known, and even the date and the opponent of the Ireland game was known. It'll be the Vikings on September 28th. But all of it finally came together. And as a public service for anybody who would have missed it, I'm going to read off all 18 weeks here. Week 1 opens with the Jets in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Week 2 is the home opener. Of course, the Steelers can never actually open at home. Against the Seahawks. Week 3 is in Boston against the Patriots. Week 4 is the Ireland game. Week 5 is the bye, and that seemed to generate most of the discussion and debate immediately afterward, at least as far as I could tell. Week 6 is the Browns here in Pittsburgh. Week 7 is at Cincinnati. Week 8, Packers in Pittsburgh. Week 9, Colts in Pittsburgh. Week 10 represents the last significant flight of the entire schedule, that being out on the West Coast in Inglewood against the Chargers. Week 11, Bengals at home. Week 12, Bears in Chicago. Week 13, Bills at home. And buckle up now. Week 14, Ravens on the road. Week 15, Dolphins at home. Week 16, Lions on the road. Week 17, Browns on the road. Week 18, Ravens at home. My very, 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 very first reflexive thing that passed through my mind when I glanced at the schedule was the early bye week. I'm not nuts about it, but I also understand, the athletes will attest to this, they're perfectly fine having extra recovery upon returning from the other side of the planet. And I'll say this about the Week 5 bye. If that's your biggest complaint or concern, then you really don't have many. The Steelers have an opportunity in these first 3 opponents to start off strong. The Jets, the Seahawks, the Patriots, they're not all that good. None of them made the playoffs. In 2024, the only one of them, as far as I can see, that's going to take a meaningful step forward would be New England under Mike Vrabel, but even then, I mean, what's he going to do? He's not a miracle worker. Cool thing that sets up is that the Vikings are very good. And Steelers versus Vikings, as I mentioned on yesterday's program, sets up as a pretty nice game, regardless of the setting. Next thing that jumps out, and this was mostly because of what happened in 2024, I went looking for the gauntlet. Like, if you see, oh, it opens up kind of light, then you're thinking, again, there's going to be some gauntlet. And there is, kinda. That was the one that I referenced, beginning on November 30 against the Bills, then the Ravens, and then the Dolphins, depending on how they are, who knows. That's a Monday nighter. And then the Lions. That's the toughest stretch, those 4 games. That's when you're going to need to be at your sharpest. That's when you're going to need to be, in your own way, the freshest and healthiest, at least as much as you can be. And that's been a big reason you've seen the emphasis that the Steelers have put on the defensive line with Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, and all of the additional guys they plan to churn through. They want rotations. They want guys being out there at 100%, not limping around, not missing games, and certainly not being blown off the football. And if you think about the nature of those teams, most of them really like to run. Another thing that kind of jumped out at me is that there's no weirdness apart from Ireland, obviously. There's no, extra number of Thursday games or Monday games or short weeks. Right now, there's a Monday game, there's a Thursday game, and everything else, even Ireland, is played on a Sunday. So not only is there no, 3 games in 11 days freak show like what just happened, it's more like a schedule that you would have seen in 1977. 9 of the Steelers games, half of them, are set to go off at 1:02 p.m. on a Sunday. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the whole thing. I get that the Steelers' strength of schedule is still going to be a challenge in large part because they've got the NFC North. That's not going to be anybody's picnic. Looking on the strength of schedule ratings, the Steelers are 10th. I'm going to lay out one final thought for you here, and it's more of a chronological thing. Just stick with me here. If the Steelers were to get off to a nice start, if they were to win, I'd say even 2 of the first 3 games, but optimally all 3. These are not good teams they're facing. They can maybe carry some of that momentum overseas into, again, what looks like it'll be a pretty meaningful football event against the Vikings. The Vikings and their defense are going to be the most equipped out of any of the first 4 opponents to expose the holes that you need to expose. And when you're talking about the Steelers, you're principally talking about the offensive line. There's no better time to go at that line to fix what's wrong than a bye week. And building in a bye week right before they face the Browns, who are going to be running the ball again, matches up for me pretty nicely. Want to know one thing I won't care about before we go to break? Revenge games. What's that even mean? And please, please, please don't tell me that there's someone in the NFL's scheduling offices who's contemplating revenge games as something that would draw in the public or add interest to a matchup. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers were to sign here, and here's continuing to hope that he doesn't, and he goes into MetLife Stadium to face the Jets, do you really think that anyone will care or even wonder what could there be revenge-minded involved in this? Yeah, there was some story about how the Jets had him fly all the way back across the country to tell him that they weren't interested in him anymore. Who cares? You know what's relevant in that game? 2 things. One from each side. From the Pittsburgh perspective, the Steelers need to get off to a good start on the schedule. And they need, as a result, to take care of crappy teams like the other Jets. From the New Jersey perspective, those people, the ones who pull for the other Jets, they just need to see some semblance of respectability, whether that's getting the best out of Justin Fields and getting their hopes up a little bit or whatever. But are they thinking about kicking the old man out the door? And for that matter, if the old man were to need this as some sort of bonus motivation, then I really, really don't want him. But hey, as long as we're on the subject, we're going to talk about the revenge game in week 2 that DK Metcalf is going to exact revenge on the Seahawks for what exactly? For trading him? For doing a sign and trade in which he was free to sign a contract that'll get him $150 million? Man, dude's got to be pretty bitter about that. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar.
Today's J1Q comes from Corey Kane, who says, DK, what do you want to bet? The Steelers won't go to Ireland early, and Mike Tomlin will say something about adversity. You know, I had allowed myself to believe, especially after what happened in London, that this might be that one rare occasion that Tomlin essentially confesses, hey, I blew it. All of my players told me I blew it. The result told me I blew it. Having to carry Lamar Woodley into that introductory press conference in London told me I blew it. But then, after the NFL schedule was released last night, the Steelers' official website, as they always do on this occasion, posted a few remarks from Art Rooney about the schedule, things that he likes about it, things that he doesn't like. And when the subject of Ireland and when the Steelers might go over this time, Rooney's response was that the current plan, which is open to change, is that they would go over on Thursday. Now, if you're not familiar with international travel, you go over on a Thursday, you're not getting anything done until Friday. And even on Friday, you're not getting anything done. And this, unsurprisingly, was exactly what the Steelers did in London. They practiced on the south side because Tomlin has all his stuff there. They basically decided to punt on the standard Friday practice. They used Saturday in London for a walkthrough. They played on Sunday, and they played like cadavers. Now, presuming that Rooney still has the authority to tell Tomlin what to do, he'll want to get a hold of this one. I mean, wow. Just wow. I appreciate the question, Corey. I appreciate everyone listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. Look, if you want to get worked up about something related to the schedule, get worked up about this, because this is going to be taking an L by choice. The concepts of time zones and jet lag and sleep patterns don't take a back seat to the head coach needing to show everybody all the time that he's right all the time. Let's do another one of these tomorrow.